So I know we talked about this I think we talked about it on the show, but was it just when they were announced? But have you seen, like, I don't think the actual sets had been revealed yet, but have you seen the Lego, the Enterprise D set?
Yeah, and
then
there's just the one set, right? Because it's that one, and then if you buy it, they give you a little like runabout, right? With
Ensign Rowe. Yeah, I think you can get just that set by itself too. I think it is like its own set.
Okay, I have seen it. I have not been tempted at that amount of money. Because it's like $350. I think if they get me a original series one, that could get me.
Sure.
I will say I was showing the kids that set.
Yeah.
And I was showing them, I was like, oh, here's all the main characters, and then I got to the end, and Ben was like, Ben saw Wesley. He saw like this with him is like a sweater.
Yeah.
And he was like, Is that guy? Like, it's like, yeah. He's like, why did they have his Lego of him? Like,
that's, again, I know we talked about this like in the actual episode, but I do feel like that's got to be so just like justifying to to watch someone like without any preconceptions come to like just this one episode and be like, I don't like this guy.
It's like how like some animals have evolved to like taste bad or whatever. Like, you know, like it's like a natural, you know, or like it's like a dog like barking at like an intruder or something like that. Where you're just like, there's something instinctual about it.
Right. Yeah, I do definitely get the like having the Enterprise D be the one, because like it's a good design. Like it does. I think it does the whole like saucer separation thing, which is cool. But yeah, I'm sure the like original series Enterprise is going to come at some point. I guess that's also probably other than Voyager, the Enterprise D is probably the easiest one, like structurally to make as a Lego.
Well, you could do Voyager. You could do. I mean, like I think the Enterprise D is the one to do just from like that's probably the most requested. But it's like. You could do like from a structural standpoint, you could do Voyager, you could do like the Defiant or something like that.
Yeah, because like I feel like Deep Space Nine could be very cool, but just like that feels so tenuous of like a shape to have as a Lego. I think Deep Space Nine, what they should do is like the Promenade and Quark's Bar. Do like the interior set.
Oh yeah. Oh, that would be tempting to me if I could get a Quark's Bar set.
Yeah. That was something I was actually thinking about too, is that it's got to be right, because like I was wondering like do you think the most like what set gets the most screen time on Deep Space Nine? Because I feel like for every other show it's going to clearly be the bridge of the ship. Yeah. But like on Deep Space Nine, I don't think it's ops. Like I feel like there's whole episodes where they're just like never even in ops. So like, is it just like the Promenade?
I think it's the Promenade, probably. Yeah. I think it's probably the Promenade. Yeah, because it's like they, you know, yeah. Because I mean, where do they go in this episode? It's like, are they in ops? I don't know
think
if
they're ever in ops. No, like
because they're in
when they like are. Yeah,
they're in Sisko's office for that one scene.
Yeah,
and then they're in the Promenade, and then they're in Quark's Bar, and then they're in like one of like the storage bays.
Yeah,
and then they're in the medical area a lot.
Yeah, which I think I was reading with it. I think that is there's a bunch of stuff like that was all a like continuous set. I forget if Sickbay was part of it, but like the Promenade set has like multiple other sort of like rooms off of it that were like the actual place that were all part of like. So you could just walk off of the Promenade into Sickbay and it'd all be like in the same set. I think either Sickbay or like the Brig was one of them, where like it's just all like it was apparently like the biggest set they had ever made for Star Trek, and it was just like up for the whole time. Which is very cool.
I think that the Promenade probably is the place where they spend the most time, but I would say that like Quark's Bar is probably the most like iconic or whatever.
Yeah, I feel that's probably more what you think of. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see. I'm curious. I want to see a Ferengi Lego, like with the ears and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, the Worf was kind of okay, I thought.
Yeah, I don't want to go. Well, I mean, whatever. Who cares? We can go long on this if we want to, because I like this episode. I saw it. It's not like I'm trying to delay us talking about it. But because we're talking about ships, I learned something kind of insane about my wife of 15 years that I never knew before until like a month ago.
Okay.
But it's since the last time we recorded, because it's been a little while since we recorded. And because now it is in 2026 now. But my wife cannot tell the difference between ships on Star Trek.
Okay.
Because we were talking about this because like we were talking about how I was talking about like how I like the look of the original series Enterprise more than the Enterprise. I think we were talking about because I was talking about how much I like the first couple of Enterprises from the original series movies. Probably the best.
Oh, sure. Before the like Excelsior class one or whatever.
Yeah, and how I think we might have been in reference to this Lego set, and I was talking about how like that's what would get me like instead of the one from TNG. Mm-hmm. And she was like, what's the difference? And I was like, well, yeah, because like they're just like it's just like a pie shape, and then like the things in the back. And I was like, no, that's not true. Like they're in different like configurations, and like there's different there's not only but it's like the nacelles.
Yeah, it's kind of like got this like long
come out flat, in a different way,
sort of curved thing. Yeah.
But then we started talking about it, and it's just like she has like. It's not even like between the different Enterprises. She has like no conception of it. Because I think we watched like Wrath of Khan, and she like that's the Defiant also that he's on, right? That Khan is on in that one.
Yes, I think that is what that one's called, right? Or is it? Yeah,
I think so. And she's just like, that just looks like the other ones. And I was like, no, it doesn't. Like, it's like that one like doesn't even have like the body of the ship isn't really it doesn't have like a body.
Like,
it's like that one, like the nacelles like stick out from like below the
that one they like come out the bottom,
pie,
right? Yeah.
Like and then so it's just and she's just like, yeah, no, they all just kind of like look the same to me. And then like we were talking about how it's like she's just like all Romulan ships and all Klingon ships, those all look, and I was just like, that's crazy. Like, and I was like, what about like, do you think all the Star Wars ships look the same? And she was like, no, like they're like shaped like the letters or like. Sure. I was just like, it's. Yeah, it was very weird to me. Like I was just like, she has like face blindness, but for Star Trek ships. And it's like, I do understand that, like, that's kind of the thing about Star Trek is that, like, they try to make all of their ships look not the same, but they try to make them look, like, similar in that, like, they were...
Like, you can identify, like, who they belong to by looking at the ship, yeah.
Yeah, like, there's, like, a cultural signifier almost to, like, the different ship types and stuff. But I just thought that was so crazy. Where I was like, the idea that you could look at like the Defiant or like the Cerritos and then look at like, the
original Enterprise,
the original Enterprise or the Enterprise D and be like, yeah, those are all the same. Like those, like what I don't understand. Like, I'm just like, that's like, that's crazy to me. Yeah. I think Voyager too. It's like Voyager, like it's a different.
Voyager
shape,
looks very, Voyager's very, like it kind of barely has nacelles. Yeah.
Yeah. When it's like an oval.
Yeah.
But anyway, I just found that fascinating. So it's like how like I can't really tell the difference between wine. Like I can tell the difference between like red wine and rosé and white wine, and I like wine, but like.
Yeah,
I don't know that I've ever like.
It all just.
I don't know if I've ever like
wine.
Tried a red wine and been like, this one.
This is better than that other one that I had.
Yeah, I'm just like it tastes like red wine. I like that. Like.
Sure. Yeah, I'm the same way with like a lot of like taste in general. I feel like I like. It's not that I don't have a sense of taste, and like yeah, I like things and I like things that taste good, but yeah, I feel like I just have very little ability to like distinguish between like things that taste good and different things that taste the same but different.
Yeah,
I guess.
Anyway.
Yeah.
So hopefully one day they'll get a Lego set of a thing that is in this episode we're about to watch. Or we're about to talk about.
Sure.
Hopefully we both watched it already.
We did, yeah.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to Out of Contracts, a show where two guys who have seen part of Star Trek try to watch all of it in no particular order. I'm Ryan Howard.
And I'm Brady Jungle.
And today we're talking about The Abandoned, which is Season 3, Episode 6 of Star Trek Deep Space Nine. It is written by D. Thomas Mao, I think is how you say that name. I'm not sure. And Steve Warnick. And it is directed by Avery Brooks.
Yeah.
Who's in this episode like a fair amount for...
yeah, I feel like a lot of times, like whenever Frakes would direct, he just would sort of kind of like walk into one scene or something. But
yeah, this memory alpha synopsis is: Quark finds an abandoned Jem'Hadar child, and Odo is the only person who can control him. I remembered this episode being good when I started watching it, and I still liked it. I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, I would agree. I thought it was a good one.
It's a thing I like a lot in Enterprise, or sorry, not Enterprise, in DS9 that I think is kind of, it's very different than like the rest of Star Trek, which is that like they kind of just have these episodes sometimes, and then it's like then they're over, and like basically they're like, yeah, like that problem can't be solved. It's kind of bad. It's sad, like, isn't it?
Yeah,
like,
it does. This one
like
does end very like. Again, I think in actually like a way that I like, kind of like, yeah, they don't really dwell on it much at the end. They're just kind of like, yeah, and then that's the end.
It reminded me a little.
Right,
like me a little bit of.
There is no sort of like. And then we sit down and talk about, like, well, what can we really learn about, like, the nature of inherent, like, good or evil or, like, any of that? They're just kind of like, wow, now he's gone.
Yeah, even like, the last one we watched, right, or at least the last one, DS9 episode that's come out, I think, is Accession. And, like, that, it kind of ends like that, too, where, like, it's like they go to the prophets, and the prophets are like, we don't really care. Like, we could kill that guy again if you want to.
Yeah.
And then it's like, that guy doesn't, like, learn a lesson. They're just like, well, we'll send him back to his own time where it's, like, more okay to be, like, sexist and racist. And then, like,
right.
You just have to keep on doing this job you don't like, you know? Like,
yeah, and it's, like, a little, like, it's, I think that one ends a little more positively. Because Cisco, like,
I agree.
kind of develops, I think they have one scene where, like, he, like, still, like, marries some people or something. But you can, like, he, like, kind of like likes the job a little bit more, or like kind of recognizes
he appreciates the responsibility. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But still, it's like there's a lot of like
there's not like a what have we learned song at the end.
Yeah, this one reminded me actually a fair amount of, I think it's is it Charlie X, the
yes. I think
the
that's
episode we watched
the original series.
Yeah,
one with the kids.
Where it's just like they meet this guy who just sort of like has too much power and does whatever he wants and like can't really be controlled, and they keep on trying to teach him lessons and he won't learn the lessons, and at the end like he just kind of gets like taken off their hands, and you know he's not going to be happy anymore, but they're like, well, we can't do anything about this.
Yeah,
you know, like, and then that's the end of the episode.
He couldn't stay here. So
right, like
yeah.
So, but I don't know, it's good. I think it's well acted, and
yeah, for sure,
some good character stuff, and it's like, I like it because like sometimes life be like that, you know.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah. Why don't you take us into this episode?
Yeah. So it starts out in Quark's bar. And there's like a little scene from like the subplot of that Jake has, and I don't know if she like in multiple episodes, or like Jake is like has a girlfriend that is a Dabo girl.
She's only in this episode, but she's mentioned multiple other times. Like, so okay. It's like there is a subplot for I think like 3 or 4 episodes that he, a 16-year-old, is dating like an adult woman.
Yeah, that was my first.
Very, very odd.
And I get that it does like right, like I was felt a little better when like Cisco is also concerned about it, because like my very first reaction, because they show her like, you know, like flirting with the customers and like trying to get them to gamble and like kind of doing her job, and then like it's like, and Jake is her boyfriend, and I'm just like, how old is Jake?
Yeah,
he is a child. He acts like a child in this episode.
Yeah, the thing about it that I think is very like, it's very off-putting right away. It's because, I think this is, I actually like how the episode proceeds in this regard, honestly, because like I think it ends up like shading this stuff in like an interesting way.
Yeah, I think they do a good job of like all of the things that sort of like kind of feel concerning at the very start of it. They actually kind of do, I guess, like address or like, yeah, like,
and it's like
they are also concerned about it, but then like they kind of, yeah, I think they handle it with like some deftness. But I feel like.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because it's like you find out the more though why she's interested in him and not as much why he's interested in her, and it's like it is a little bit of, I think, a hard barrier to overcome, where I'm not at all, you know, slut shaming her or whatever, but like you see her and she is like dressed like very, very provocatively at the beginning, and which is fine, but then it's like you're kind of like, well, why is Jake interested in her? Because like the way that she's presented at the beginning is like extremely sexual, and
yes, and because they also like reference that like her job is to like, right, like is to be like attractive and appealing and like use that to manipulate men. Right? Like,
Reggie was like, "What's her job?" And I was like, "Her job is to be hot to convince people to like spend more money gambling." Like,
right.
Like which is like somehow a job. Like, but it is like that's a job in real life too, or it was anyway.
Yeah.
But again, I'm not even like judging. It's more. It's the reason I'm saying that is because it's like I think it does invite this thing of like, well. Are they like hooking up, like, or, you know, like yeah. That's what it's sort of like what year, and they don't, and the episode doesn't really like ever address that, and I think that's the thing that's kind of like I think doesn't quite 100% work, is that like she's like, well, this is why I like Jake, he's like really interesting, and then it's like Jake is so kind of like not wanting to talk to his dad about it that you don't really ever find out that he's like, I guess he mentions a couple little things, but like it's like more like. It's more that like Cisco finds out more about her from her instead of like why Jake likes her, you know?
Yeah.
But,
yeah.
Anyway, though.
But yeah, so they kind of introduce them, and they talk about how like she's going to be coming over to like have dinner with them and meet Cisco. And Jake is like nervous about this. And then Quark, I think this one is even more strongly implied, meets up with like a sort of a like captain of a like scavenger type of like merchant type person who's like, I'm gonna sell you this like wreckage of a ship from the Gamma Quadrant to kind of get whatever you can from it and sell it, and convinces him to buy it by essentially like promising him sex.
Well, I think the implication is that they do have sex.
Yeah, because as soon as he sees the ship, he's like, "Well, it was still worth it."
Yeah, he's like, "Talking about 3 hours later, worth it." Like, you know.
Yeah. So, but so he's then like checking out. This...
Like, Frankie have to be like one of, I would have to imagine, like on Star Trek, like one of the most disgusting aliens to have sex with. Like, I think.
Yeah, it's gotta be, right.
If I had to rank like which Star Trek aliens I would least want to have sex with, I think Frankie might be. Like as far as the like the actual human ones, like not counting like the rug monster or whatever. Like
sure, I mean there's probably people into that.
Yeah, Frankie probably pretty high up there.
Yeah,
maybe like below Salt Vampire, you know, but
yeah, but see, Salt Vampire at least like can look like an attractive human.
That's true. I forgot about that. I
mean, I feel like Voyager has some pretty gross ones.
I was going to make a really, like, I was doing a really bad joke about the salt pepper, but I'm not going to.
Great. We'll save that for that episode.
Yes.
So, anyways, not dwelling on this for too long, Quark goes into the ship and hears, like, a baby crying and, like, opens up this, like, compartment or container thing, and there's a baby inside. They take it to sickbay and are kind of, like, checking it out, and Bashir's like, I don't know what species it is, but it's... At first they're just like, his cells are, like, growing very fast, or, like, his metabolism's really fast. Like, Sisko is kind of, like, just has this very, like, that just sort of, like, is around a cute baby and is just, like, very kind of enchanted by it. And has a little conversation with, I think, Dax afterwards about how just, like, it just immediately made him nostalgic for, like, when he had a baby. And I don't know, this one I thought was, like, a very, even as someone who, like, doesn't have children and only has, like, nieces and nephews, like, or I guess a niece and a, technically, like, nephew-in-law, I guess. I never know what to call Lisa's nephew.
It's still your nephew. It's still your nephew. It counts.
Yeah. But, like, I think there is, like, it is a very kind of profound thing, because he's just, like, I miss sort of being able to make my son happy just by, like, lifting him up in the air over my head. And I think that does very much capture kind of one of those things that people, like, love so much about, like, little kids. It's just that kind of simplicity and, like, the sort of pureness of joy that you can get from them from, like, incredibly minor things, instead of, like, humans, where it's this very kind of complex emotional, like, navigation you have to do.
Yeah.
In comparison.
I mean, that part of having kids it's interesting. I think the scene is, like, it's just, like, a nice little character piece, and it doesn't really have anything to do with the rest of the episode, and so it's just, like, one of those nice little moments, and it's, like, one of those things I really like about this character of Sisko, which is, like, that he's so sincere,
Yeah.
And I find that very, like, charming.
Yeah, and I think it's also, like, just such a good, like, that scene, I think, is what kind of, like, ties the two parts of the episode together too, right? Because it's, like, that is kind of the whole, right? Like, I think that kind of sums up, like, what he's feeling in his relationship with Jake in this episode, is just, like, right, the, like, my son is grown up and I, like, don't kind of know him or, like, have as, like, the relationship I did with him when he was, like, a kid and I was, like, we were sort of each other's whole world. It's a very nice like, scene to include.
I
don't remember. Does Dax have any kids? Like, do any of the other Daxes?
Some of the other Daxes have kids, I believe. Yeah, but I don't know that they really, like, if it's really a thing that gets talked about very often.
Okay.
I liked this scene. I think it's well done. It's interesting because it really reflects, like, a sentiment that I don't have. I love my kids, and there's certainly things when they were little where I'm like, oh yeah, like I certainly remember, like, that fondly or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, I would say, like, I know people who, like, really, really miss that stuff, or, like, they really kind of, like, mourn for it being over. And it's like, I have always, like, I always find my kids to be, like, more interesting and more entertaining, and, like, entertaining, but, like more, right, like, just, like, the older they get, the more,
the, like, times you spend with them type of thing.
Yeah, it's like, generally speaking, like, I think that the older that your kids get, like, the more they surprise you. And so, which is just so, like, cool. It's like, I've really been thinking about in the last, like, year, like, how, like, funny my kids are now, and it's like they were funny on their way, but it's just like they're funny now in ways where it's like, oh, they're not just like repeating something they heard or whatever. Like they're like, it's like they'll tell me like jokes or like they'll say like remarks to me, and I'm like, oh, that's really funny, and I like I didn't know that you, I didn't realize that about like that you were funny like that, like that you would that's like a kind of joke you would make or whatever, and it's that kind of thing is like very, very like gratifying. Like it does actually make me honestly think about like that episode of Star Trek that we watched many years ago now about Lal, where he's just sort of like, what do you want? Like if you're a parent, like you want your kid to be, you want your kids to be better than you, or like more impressive or whatever. And it's like, I think it's like, to me, I'm not judging anybody who like feels that so attached to like their kids, but also I'm in that old era, but I'm also always kind of like are you living in the past a little bit? It's like when your kids were younger, like they had less of like a recognizable sense of self, and it's like that's what you want for them ultimately. I don't know. It's just an interesting thing. It's like it's not something that I every now and then I'll be like, oh, that was like fun when like Ben used to have like this insane laugh that he would laugh when he was really little or whatever. Like Reggie, when Reggie used to hear the Batman theme, they would do this little dance or whatever, and which is it's funny to remember, but I'm not like, oh man, if I could go back to those days, it's like, no, I
do you like someone
good.
that you can like sit down and watch something with and have a conversation with about it? And
yep. Reggie was just helping us clear out our we're cutting some of our board game collection, just paring it down a little bit because we have 10 million board games. And I was talking to Kim about it yesterday, and Kim was like, I just had like a nice chat with Reggie while doing this. Like Reggie's a good conversationalist, and it's like that's it. It's like I value all that stuff so much more than I do like being able to smell their heads or whatever. It's just it's. But everything has a season.
Yeah.
Anyway.
We're not covering a lot of ground in this episode.
No, which is funny because again, I like this. This is a good episode.
Yeah, it is. I think very like I think very much kind of like does what Deep Space Nine does well, which is just like it just is about like stuff and people and kind of includes like a depth that I think you don't always get. So, but so basically the baby that Quark found starts growing up very quickly, and like almost like they eventually like discover that he is a Jem'Hadar.
Well, they discover it because there's basically there's like one scene after it's a baby where Cisco is like hanging out with Jake, and Jake is like, I don't like that you invited her over without telling me. And then like at the end of that scene, then the next scene he goes back to the infirmary, and then like the kid is being played by like a 10-year-old.
Yeah.
Like a very I would say like a kind of a weirdly good performance from this 10-year-old who I found like very disconcerting. Like, just like very, very like kind of like calm and sort of like eerie in a way that I thought was very well done.
And then starts like talking and being like saying like I want to learn as much as I can now, which is like I think is I think the most impressive aspect of him is the ability to learn language in like a day or whatever, right? Just from like hearing a few people talking. Also, because like they talk about how like Bashir has been sort of like examining and testing him in that, and it's just like he's been like genetically modified or engineered to sort of like be like very intelligent and capable and like grow very fast. And like, do we know yet at this point that Bashir is?
Augment?
When do they find
No.
out that Bashir is also like genetically?
I think a fair amount later, if I recall correctly.
Interesting.
But yeah, it's a good question.
But yeah, and then there is a scene where, because I think before like Odo starts interacting with the kid, there's a scene with Odo and Kira where, because I think I did look up, because I think this is like right after the episode that we watched where they go to like the Founder's home planet. And so he's kind of trying to like discover more about like being a changeling and being able to turn into things and that sort of thing. So now his room is full of like sculptures that then he'll practice like turning into, it seems like. And
yeah, Kira very like kind of nosily invites
it's just
herself
like, I want to
into
see
his-
what your room
into
looks
his
like.
room. Yeah. It's like rude.
But yeah, I think they're like they're kind of like awkward together, and I think she's like kind of being sweet, and like it is this sort of thing that like Odo doesn't get like excited about a lot of things, and you can tell that this is something that he has like a real like gets him very like passionate. And
Yeah.
I mean, this whole episode, like Renee Aubergenois is so good.
Yeah, he's being asked to do like I would say kind of a difficult thing, you know, like
yeah.
So I agree.
But yeah, and then the kid keeps growing up, and then they do this one scene where like I understand that the reason they film it this way is because they don't want to like show his face and reveal that he's a Jem'Hadar until like the point where he sees Odo. But then there's the way they do it is like there's just kind of one shot that's done in like first person. Where like you're seeing like through his eyes as he's like kind of running through the promenade and like fighting people.
I like that shot though. It's interesting.
Yeah, and then he like sees Odo and realizes that he's a founder or a changeling. And
he doesn't even know. He sees Odo and he is just like, whoa, like
yeah,
it's
he like knows I think I
actor,
have to obey you, basically.
I think this actor, who I'm looking up his name, he's got a funny name. Bumper Robinson is his name.
Oh, okay.
Who I think it's a good performance. It is like I think it's really hard sometimes to act in that makeup because I think like Jem'Hadar makeup is the thing that I think it's his makeup is actually among the better Jem'Hadar makeup. I think because he's just because he's playing a younger person, he's like it's a little bit more trim. Like
it's not as
his
much
name
of
is credited as teenager. He doesn't even have a name. But like I always kind of found him find like the Jem'Hadar makeup to kind of it looks very similar to me to like the makeup from like the Dinosaurs TV show from the 90s.
Yeah.
And so I think he's doing a really good job. Like, and so it's like it's not like he sees him and he's like, "You're a founder." He like sees him and he's like, he immediately like senses in his like genetic code that like he has to pay attention to this thing, like to this person. He's just like, oh, like something is telling me genetically speaking that like this is a being who commands my respect, you know. Which I think was kind of cool.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. I mean, it does kind of... I don't know. I was trying to figure out, like, can you like, implant a religion? Or, like, right, like, something... But I guess there's, like...
Well, it's like... Again,
there's, like,
it's like I was just saying about, it's not a religion. It's, like... to me, it's like... It's kind of like what I was jokingly saying earlier in the episode about Wesley, where it's just, like... to me, it's like, oh yeah, like there's something like where like they have like, you know, it's like how dogs like, you know to like put their tails down if there's someone of a higher status. You know, it's just to me, it's like that kind of a thing.
Yeah, not to eat certain like butterflies or frogs or whatever. That are colored a certain way. Yeah, I guess that's a good point. Yeah, and so like basically he's like. And I think this, like, they know that he's a Jem'Hadar, and he is just like, all I want to do is like fight, and like I kind of know that everyone else is sort of like inferior to me except for you, and you're superior to me, and I have to like sort of respect and obey you.
Yeah, it's very like frightening the way that he talks. It's really interesting where you're just sort of
yes, because he's very like matter of fact about it.
Yeah,
and like kind of yeah, he does a really good performance of.
Yeah, he does a really good job. But yeah, because he just keeps on walking away. He's like, I could just kill all these people, and like, or you know, and then Odo's like, no, that's not. Don't do that. Like, right. That's not what the goal of this is. You know.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, and he says, and he, you know, at one point he's like, well, I know in my heart that you're right, which means that I must be wrong.
Yeah, he almost.
And then Odo's like, well, no, I don't really want you to think that either. You know,
yeah,
like,
I feel like he almost kind of like accidentally sort of like Captain Kirk talking a computer to death, like logics him a little bit, right?
Well, it's interesting because it's like it's sort of like, I don't know, what do you think this episode is like trying to say? Like
that's I get that was an interesting thing because I think it's. I don't know if it really is. Like, I think it's one of those things that's more... Right, because, like, I don't think it's really trying to say anything about, like, nature or nurture or, like, some people just being, like, inherently, like, a certain way or, like, not... Because it's such a, like, unique case of, like, yes, he, like, was literally, like, designed on like a like molecular biological level to be this way. So like I think it's more about like how the characters in the show like react to him than like trying to take like this character and make generalizations about it. It's kind of how I read it. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's like it just presents this really interesting like moral dilemma, but it's not necessarily a moral dilemma that is replicable outside of the circumstances of the show. You know, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
You know
like I don't
mean?
think they're trying to say like some people are just inherently violent and will never be able to be like fixed.
But
even
it's
though that's
interesting
kind
because
of what
it's
the case is with this guy.
But it's interesting because it's like, I think though that like it does kind of like touch on a couple possible things to me. One of them is like, well, I think a few different things. One of them is just like, I think that like the importance of like trying, like the importance of like attempting to live in like reconciliation with everyone, regardless of like whether you think you're going to be successful with that. Now, it's interesting because it's like I don't. It's an interesting message to think about right now in this current world that we're living in. You know, I was talking to a buddy of mine on the phone the other day, and I was like, I think that like one thing that like this year has taught me, this last year has taught me, is that like that sometimes like it's not it's okay to hate, not, you know, like obviously like some of what's going on
like
is
individuals
is because of hate, but it's like ultimately though it's like some hate is justified, and it's like, and I think that like we would probably be in a better place right now as a country if like, for example, the Democrats, you know, who are in charge, who are like in Congress, like hated the fascist people who are like, you know, who are like wrecking shop all over the country right now, you know. And we're recording this like I live in the Twin Cities in Minnesota. Like this is like a couple days after the ICE shooting here and stuff. Hopefully by the time this episode is released, like there won't be have been so many of
right.
those,
We don't have to clarify which
about.
ICE shooting you're talking about.
The first one in Minneapolis, and I'm just like, you just watch these people who are like so totally ineffectual and so kind of like pot committed to like this kind of like very, I think, outdated and like not respected by their opposition, like idea of like civility and stuff, right? And so
like,
I think
we still have to follow the rules of like politics.
Yeah, and I'm just like, you shouldn't. Like you should get mean, you should get dirty, you should, whatever. Like you should you should be fighting back on this. And but anyway, all that to say that like so I think that's sort of like an interesting like counterpoint here, but at the same time it's like I think the interesting thing is that like there is a cultural I agree with you. I don't think the show is trying to say that like some people are just kind of like born messed up, but I think that like the interesting thing about that character is that it doesn't seem like the show is saying that he is malicious. It's just kind of saying like he's just like this, and there's not really anything that can be done about it. And like so it is like kind of like a cultural impasse that they're at, you know what I mean? Like, and I think that,
and there's kind of a point where like it's like you have to make the right decision for right, like essentially like Odo and Cisco, who is kind of who it comes down to, like have to make the right decision. Less, I mean, I guess like you could argue whether or not it's the right decision for this kid, but they're making the right decision for the station, right? That like at the end, like it's just like if either we have to like let him go back to the Jem'Hadar like he wants to, which like Odo tries to argue, like talk him out of this and be like, I want more for you than to just like be a mindless soldier. But also like if they try to stop him, then like multiple people that they're responsible for are going to be hurt or killed. And like so
but yeah, I like, but it's like to me it's like still like Odo is being very noble about this. Like it's there's something where it's like he's attempting to come up with like a non-violent solution to this thing that like somebody like Kira would be very content to just sort of be like, no, you just gotta get rid of this guy, like
he's bad, he's the enemy.
So I think those are both two kind of interesting things, I think.
Because even in the scene, there is a scene where Odo and Kira are talking about it, and he kind of makes that point of just like everyone has, right? Because he is saying like everyone has the ability to like change sort of beyond what they were, kind of what their like nature would be, right? He's like I'm not like other founders. Right, or like that, like like Kira was like a freedom. I think he even says like you were a terrorist, right? And just like you've grown so much beyond that, and so like,
that's another interesting. It's like the show has such a like an interesting relationship with like that kind of language, because it's like I don't even think the show itself is fully like terrorism is bad, because it's like.
Right.
Like, and so it's like it's an interesting thing for that to him to kind of throw that at her, because I'm like, I think like as much as I'm not a huge fan of that character, I think I feel like that pretty unambiguously like the quote unquote terrorism that she did, in the previous era,
right, is like, more like
is positive. Like it's it's
resistance, like freedom fighting.
Yeah. It's like and again, that's one of those things where I think I think that stuff has only gotten more relevant or whatever. Like it's like it's like she was.
I mean, that was at the time too. Like right, like Israel and Palestine have been a thing since the 50s.
Well,
but.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that like it's. I don't fully know if that's what they were. It's like I think that they're probably pulling from a lot of different things on the show. I don't know if it was just it's Israel and Palestine specifically. I think that there's probably also some like Ireland stuff in there, which is obviously I'm also very pro like Irish independence too. But I think that like the way that Irish terrorism, and I'm not even trying to say that like
it gets like branded like very much as like
but like obviously like there are in both of those cases, even the Palestine stuff, that's where it's like I'm fully like I think it's very obvious that like the Palestinians are being like oppressed in that in that context. But it's like, I suppose you could say some stuff about like the way that sometimes civilians have gotten involved or whatever. I think that's a bit different in Israel Palestine than it is in Ireland, because like basically if you are a civilian in Israel, like you are kind of like implicitly agreeing to like be part of like an occupying force, you know. Mm-hmm. But like it's like it's that kind of a thing where it's there's sort of, I think they're kind of trying to mix a bunch of this stuff up, but then at the same time I think they always try to be pretty clear that I don't really think that like there's a lot of episodes of the show, I could be forgetting, but like where Kira is like, oh yeah, I killed some civilians or whatever. You know what I mean? So it's like,
yeah,
I don't really. I'm kind of like, no, actually, like
soldiers,
the things that Kira does are kind of badass, like, you know, like or sure. Justified or whatever. But so it's an interesting kind of like thing for him to throw back at her. But yeah, it's like I think. Yeah, it's interesting because it's like maybe there's a bit of like, can people change? But also I think all of the stuff, you haven't really watched that many Jem'Hadar episodes though, have you?
No, I really like. Yeah, that's for as much Deep Space Nine as we've watched. I feel like there's hardly been any with like the Jem'Hadar in them, or like even a lot of like Dominion War stuff. I think. So the
Jem'Hadar stuff, it is a lot of it. I think is really kind of like, what is the word I'm looking for? It's very like I think inspired by like militarism. Like it's like it's sort of like it in the same way, honestly, weirdly, that like the Clone Wars show was like before Filoni got like way up his own butt about like how awesome he is. Like I think how like a lot of that stuff is like talking about
long lore of Mandalore and the
yeah. Well,
he's
going to be the new creative, he's going to be the new like creative director of Star Wars now, which I think is really? Like.
I mean, I think there's a bunch of people I feel like that have been like, I feel like whatever her name was that was like the one before, like took so much of like the kind of public blame for all of the Disney Star Wars stuff, and people like love Filoni because of the Clone Wars. So
so he's I think that I don't know. I think like seeing his how his run has just kind of like turned into fan fiction. I would say I'm not terribly, not that I'm super Team Star Wars.
Yeah, you kind of got out of the game.
But yeah,
at the right time, I feel like.
Anyway, so like, but before that, where it was like a lot of the Clone Wars stuff, and maybe a lot of this probably is Lucas more than it is him, because like Lucas certainly was consulted on that show, but like, you know, like the stuff in that show about how like, in a way, isn't all of this stuff just kind of about like indoctrination and propagandization and stuff? And so I think that's just another thing.
The only reason we exist is to fight your wars, type of thing.
Yeah. And I think that like that's what a lot of the Jem'Hadar stuff is too. And so I think that they're doing a little bit of that in there, even though it's like it's genetically hard coded into him. I think it's a little bit about like that attitude of like, this is why this exists or whatever, you know. And so so those are a couple things I think that I feel that are like a little, some of the soup that's going on into this episode.
Yeah, I think it's good. We do also, I guess, significant from like a story standpoint. We get I'm assuming this is kind of the introduction of Ketracel White.
Yes,
probably. Although I don't think they ever call it by name in this, but like,
no, they don't.
They discover that, like, basically that like the Jem'Hadar have this, like, are like deficient in a specific enzyme that like their body kind of goes into withdrawal if they don't get it. And so, and again, my understanding is that was sort of like a thing that was bred into them as an additional way for the founders to be able to like control them. That basically like you literally like can't survive without us, type of thing.
Which is again a very like militaristic thing, like getting soldiers addicted to drugs basically so that they're more controllable.
Yeah,
like
I mean that's
very
is that Starship
tactic.
Troopers that does that, or like there's some one of those like kind of sci-fi.
I think you're thinking about like the American government. No.
Oh, sure. Yeah, that's it.
I can't remember if they do it in Star Trek Troopers, actually.
Yeah, there's one of those like sci-fi
what
things
a good
that
movie.
Similarly like is also like right like just about that kind of like militarism, but where that's part of it is like the soldiers are like forcibly addicted to something.
Star Trek Troopers is so good. But we should. I mean, we got to keep booking through this.
I know. I'm sorry. Yeah.
No, I think this is just like this is what happens when we don't record. We talk to each other for like 2 months. I want to
talk to my friend.
Yeah,
it's been so long.
Yeah.
We do need to just like talk at some point too.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, today's not that day. But yeah, and so kind of Odo is trying to because like what Starfleet wants to do is take this. He isn't ever given a name, I guess, is he?
No.
This like Jem'Hadar.
His name is Teenager in Memory Alpha.
Yeah, I mean, again, I'm sure that's intentional, but yeah, it wants to take this Jem'Hadar and like have him be studied by like doctors and psychologists and kind of like learn as much about the Jem'Hadar as they can from this person. And Odo is like very against that
because he remembers also getting like studied,
Yeah, and just kind of like basically his thing is just like no matter how like well he's treated or good his conditions are, there's just something like inherently dehumanizing or about that or whateverizing. But yeah, and so Odo is like, let me keep him here and like help him just kind of like learn to like. And just kind of is making this case that I can kind of like, because he listens to me, I can kind of help him like change and like learn how to participate in society and those kinds of things.
Yeah.
And he kind of tries to, but all that the kid wants to do is just fight.
Well, I will say
he tries like taking him to the holodeck and being like, well, what if we like have this program as sort of an outlet for that? But.
So I will say this is I think Odo's biggest mistake here is that like he says to the guy, he's like, there needs to be like some sort of way for you to like channel your aggression. You need to figure out a way to channel your aggression.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, you mean through like sports or something? And he's like,
sure.
No, I mean through
fight something.
Going to like a room where you can just kind of like repeatedly like beat a photorealistic alien to death. And I'm like, I don't know that that's really like, I think that's actually kind of like, that's not going to help you channel your aggression. I think that's going that like that. I think that might do the opposite.
Participating in more violence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought that was a funny, like, all right, here's the solution. You want to kill people? Like, what if I can have you pretend to kill people for like an hour, or whatever?
And like, he just kind of is just like, this is now like, all I want to do is just fight this thing over and over.
Yeah.
And is there anything else that happens before, like the next thing that I kind of have? And
well, he's just not satisfied. He's not satisfied.
And he's just like not satisfied. He keeps kind of having these conversations with Odo about how just like all of these other people are scared of me and I could kill them all if I wanted to, and like why shouldn't I? And then like Cisco kind of calls Odo in and tells him, look, Starfleet is like sending a ship and kind of I can't stall them anymore. They're going to take this kid. And is this a Jem'Hadar thing? Can the Jem'Hadar like cloak or like chameleon or like, because that's what it looked like. It looked like he just kind of like had a cloaking device. Like the kid just kind of appears in the room.
Oh right. I guess I just thought he had used a transporter, but I guess I don't know.
He just kind of like I
don't know.
But yeah, it basically like overheard them and is just like, no one's taking me anywhere, and kind of like has like he was like threatening Cisco, and he's just like, you have to like give me a shuttle and let me go back to the Gamma Quadrant. And Odo kind of convinces Cisco, like, like I'll go with him. Don't try to stop him. Don't like start any sort of like violence. We'll just let him go. And then Odo's going with him and trying to convince him, like, look, we can go anywhere else. Like, I will literally like come with you, and we can go to some planet somewhere and live there. Like, is so kind of like committed to, like, I will literally like uproot my life to like raise you if you will kind of like change and like do anything other than just going back to the Jem'Hadar. And
very heartfelt scene.
Yeah, he's like, he's very like passionate in it. He and the guy is just like, all like, I again like kind of going back to that like innate like instinctual. He's just like, I know like in this kind of way that I can't like explain, but also can't stop, that like I have to, like, this is like, right, like this is what I have to do. I have to listen to like the founders and like the other, like, I know that the other ones are not like you, so those are the ones I'm going to.
Yeah.
I think Sisko like comes with like security again and is like about to stop them again, and Odo kind of talks him down and is just like, this is what he's decided. I'll go with him and take him there, and then I'll come back. But like, yeah, in that just sort of like,
what does Sisko say? He says something like, I'll tell them that like I couldn't stop you without people being killed, which will also have the benefit of like being accurate or something like that, I think is what he says.
Yeah. I think it's something like that, where it's just like, in that very, I think Sisko is very good at these scenes where it's like, I think he has the most of these scenes where it's like, it's not so much that he's like bending the rules or like ignoring the rules, but it's like Sisko knows what's up and like kind of knows when the best decision is not necessarily like go like, right, like taking Starfleet protocol like to the extremes of the letter of the law. And he's just like, look, the best thing for everyone, and like, and again, like, because I like trust and respect Odo so much, like, I am going to let you go. And I can spin this in a way of just the like, oh yeah, we tried to stop him, but he was just like too, right, like he overpowered us or like threatened us or kind of whatever. And like,
yeah,
but is really like, the reason I'm letting you go is because Odo asked me to.
I know this episode's running long, but you know when you said I had to stop her, just made me think about, or I had to stop him. I made me think about it's Laura's fault she broke the plate. I tried to stop her.
Tried to stop her.
She said she had to demonstrate her apple chopper. Her apple chopper worked just great, but chopper through your bowling plate. It's Laura's fault she broke the plate of the street.
There is so much of my brain taken up by like stuff I forget is there until right the minute that it comes up, and it's just like, oh yeah, I know the whole song from the Larry Boy movie.
Not even like the first one. It's like that's like the second time he says he does that song.
Right. Just how was I to know he hated art spaghetti?
Sorry, I broke your train of the concentration.
It's all good, but yeah, I think that's it. Like, and then so he lets him go, and then you have like a very short scene at the end where like Odo's back and he kind of sits down with Kira, and literally all he says is just like, "You were right," and that's the end of the episode. And it just it's one of those that's like intentionally like, I guess, unsatisfying, but like it just like it kind of like leaves it where it feels like it would actually be like if this sort of thing happened. You know what I mean? I'm just like, wow, that was an unsatisfying experience that we all had and nobody feels good about.
Yeah, it's really good. But also nobody really liked
died,
it.
So I guess we did the right thing in that sense.
Yeah, a really good one though. I really enjoyed it. Well, speaking of episodes where nobody died, but did they? And I did really like this episode, but I think in the interest of our recording schedule, we should probably keep it moving. So, on next week, so we come out every other week. So in 2 weeks, we're going to be back with Shore Leave, which is the original series, season 1, episode 17. So you can come back in a couple weeks and watch along with us if you'd like. feel free to check us out. You can follow us on Blue Sky at Contracts. You can email us at outofcontracts@gmail.com, or you can visit our website at outofcontracts.podbean.com, or you can follow us on YouTube at Out of Contracts, which is now posting episodes finally. Contracts is spelled Contreks. You can also check out the other shows on the you can check out Here's Johnny, which is Horror Media Podcast. They're on the same podcast network as us on the Kaleidoscope Media Podcast Network. So until next time, thanks everybody for listening. Bye.
Thanks everyone.